Good morning. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Before I start, I will try my best to use both English and Malay, although my slides are mostly in English. Please feel free to ask me kalau ada apa-apa yang tidak faham atau memerlukan lebih lagi pencerahan mengenai definisi ataupun apa-apa perkataan. I'll also, yes, thank you for the compliment on the cute slides. I tried my best to make it relevant because, as Howard said, I am not in the marine conservation world at all. The only thing I know about going to the beach is, getting sunburned. So I hope that I can make this relevant to all of you. I tried my best, but feel free to let me know if any questions, and hopefully what I shared today will be applicable, no matter what kind of project you want to launch ataupun apa-apa kolaborasi, projek ataupun membina kumpulan sendiri pun boleh dipakai. Harap-harap apa yang saya kongsi ni boleh dipakai lah. Okay. So before we start, I know you guys do some emotional check-in, but this is my way of doing a check-in. Can you guys share with me in the chat box, which kind of animal are you relating with? What mood are you feeling today and why? Are you feeling like number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4? I'm feeling, for me, I'll start first. Saya berasa seperti nombor 2 dan nombor 4 sedikit sebab I'm excited to speak to all of you. But number 4 because it's a Saturday morning and normally I wake up at 12 o'clock on a Saturday, but because of you guys, I woke up at 9 a.m. today. So, I'm feeling a mix of 2 and 4, but let me know how you guys feel. And why do you feel 1 or 2 or 3 or 2 and 3? Interesting why people feel 3. I thought 3 is like very like, I'm so done with the world kind of feeling. So share with me in the chat box, or if you want to turn on the camera, which animal are you feeling like today? Yeah, of course you have coffee. Okay, yeah, that's great. I'm not a coffee person though, so yeah. So I'm normally a green tea person. I always think leaf water is superior than beans water. Yeah. Every day number 3, but today number 1. Yeah, I relate. I think it's very impressive that you guys are doing this on a Saturday morning, and I understand all the sessions so far are weekends, right? So quite impressive. Congratulations for lasting this long, and hopefully my session today will get you to at least a number 2. Okay. All right. Before we begin, I'd like to do a little asking you your opinion a little bit. What does these 2 words mean to you? Project management or monitoring and evaluation? You can go to slido.com, key in this code, and then begin typing in the answers for you. So if you can't, you can also drop it in the chat box. If you use your phone, you can just scan the QR code on top left corner. Otherwise, you can also type on slido.com and key in 043243. Let me know if it doesn't work. I'm gonna try on my phone. Yeah, I'm gonna give you guys maybe 2 minutes for this. 2 minutes to there's no right or wrong answer. You can put in as much as you want. But when someone tells you project management atau pengurusan project, monitoring and evaluation, what comes to your mind? Is it like Excel sheet or like scary data? What do you think comes to mind when you see these 2 words? Yeah, you can enter multiple words, so you don't have to just think of one answer, and there are no right or wrong answers. Yeah. Okay. Time management are gonna be on point. Okay. Okay. I'll give you 30 more seconds. Okay. Maybe 15 more seconds. Actually, I'm not really counting lah, so agak-agak lah. All right, cool. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. You can keep parking inside there, no worries. We have 12 responses now. And I want to say that, some of you said monitoring evaluation is to ensure the project achieve the KPI. KPI is a key performance index or indicators, so it's interchangeable. KPI maksudnya target ataupun awak punya tujuan lah, untuk objektif untuk melakukan sesuatu aktiviti, budgeting, dealing with stakeholders, recruitment, procurement, smooth implementation, brainstorming ideas, leadership and teamwork. That's a very interesting perspective on what project management could be. Google Sheets, answering to donors, negotiations. Yeah, these are all very interesting perspectives. And I want to say that none of this is wrong. I would say that project management and monitoring evaluation is a little bit of everything of what you mentioned here. But what's more important to remember, oh, sorry, this is my email address. If anyone wants to contact me after this workshop, feel free to drop me an email. Sorry, let me go back. Yeah, but what's more important that I'd like to emphasize today is that these two topics are actually very different things. Sebenarnya dua ni adalah benda yang sangat-sangat berlainan, dan mereka tidak sama, bukan topik yang sama apabila kamu nak membuat planning untuk project kamu, okay? So these are, project management is something that you do overall, while monitoring evaluation is something that you need to think about in terms of how successful your project should be, okay? So today, my presentation is broken down into 5 parts, understanding the differences of these two topics. And then I will introduce to you some tools that you can use to manage your project. So we'll start with the project management side of things. I will also walk you through what I at Undi team and my whole team of 20 people uses as a database. And then I will also walk you through a framework for you to implement and apply within your own working team or a working group, because when you are launching a project, ideally you don't do it by yourself. But when you don't do it by yourself, you don't have to just deal with your project anymore. You have to deal with people, and human beings are extremely complicated to deal with. So there are tips and tricks for you to manage your team, to set boundaries, to make sure that you minimize as much conflicts as possible, because conflicts will rise up. And then the fourth section of today, I will deep dive into two ways to do monitoring and evaluation. And these two are, using logic model or surveys to measure the success of your project and success of your program. Now, this may be something very simple, and you may already see this even implemented within your Reef Spawn program, right? Where they do a pre-check-in, they do a post-check-in, but there are certain stuff that you need to keep in mind when you are designing these methods, and I will share with you a little bit of that as well. And then at the end, I'll open the session to do some Q&A. I know we're supposed to end at about 12 plus. I'll try to end slightly earlier, but please, the Reef Check team, please let me know how I'm doing on time as well. Just drop me a message, and I will keep note of that lah. Okay, sometimes I speak too fast. Kadang-kadang saya bercakap dengan sangat pantas. Sila beritahu saya if I'm too fast, and I will slow down. Okay, I'm trying my best. Yeah. All right. So, first of all, what is the difference between project management and monitoring and evaluation? Project management is making sure your project is on track to hit your goals. So before you even start your project, I'm sure you must set your goals first, right? You want to achieve certain amount of, say, for example, you're launching a campaign, you want to achieve X amount of awareness level by X amount of time. You want to, so when you set a goal, you must quantify the goal. You can't just say, oh, I want to raise awareness on, what is on turtles? Okay, I'm sorry, this is not my expertise, this topic. Okay, but in my example, in my my work, right, when I run programs, I want to work. Okay, I'm launching a bootcamp with 200 students. I want to ensure that at least to these 200 students have increased 3 points in terms of the understanding about their rights to within a democracy. So, if you're able to quantify, and then your funder will ask you, how do you quantify? How do you know they have learned this and they have learned that? So that's when you go into monitoring and evaluation. So monitoring evaluation is to track your progress towards program outcomes, meaning that you already set the outcome, kamu dah fikir dan tahu apa objektif dan apa conclusion yang awak nak ambil daripada sesuatu program ataupun sesuatu project, dan mengikuti objektif itu, korang akan plan backwards, plan ke belakang, bagaimana aktiviti ataupun bagaimana kamu nak mengukur kejayaan sesuatu projek atau projek tertentu. Okay, so monitoring evaluation mechanisms atau mekanisme yang diintegrasikan dalam projek awak untuk memastikan bahawa projek awak berjaya, ataupun kalau tidak berjaya, you know where did it fail specifically. So for example, if I said that, okay, at the end of this program, I want to make sure that 45 of my participants have launched 45 projects. However, at the end of the program, only 30 people launched their projects, according to my evaluation of the program. So my funder will come and ask me, oh, Qyira, why only 30 people have their projects? What happened to the other 15 people, right? So then I have to explain that, along the way they dropped out, or they ghosted me, or they went MIA, or they didn't execute their project well, so we had to remove them, blah, 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 blah. Then my funder will be like, okay, so that is the reason, So if your project does not hit your goals, does that mean your project has failed? Yes and no, right? It really depends on what your project is about, and it really depends on what you are accountable to, okay? So, I always emphasize this, when you are running a project or when you are being a project leader, there are situations where there are things that are happening that are beyond your control. So for example, if your participant has a new job or has started her exams, and then they can't commit to the project and they can't commit to the program anymore, then they have to drop out. Is that your fault? Of course not. Is that the participant's fault? Well, it depends, right? Did they have bad planning, or did life just throw them in a challenging part? So there's no one to blame here. But does that mean that your project has failed because someone dropped out? Again, it depends on how you and your funder's relationship are. But it's important to have all these trackers and trackers and mechanisms in place for you to identify, so you don't panic at the end of your project. Oh, kenapa 15 people drop out? Did I not realize that 15 people along the way had issues? So you have all these mechanisms in place to make sure that at every workshop that you do, your participants learn something and things like that. Okay. So what should we use, briefly going into what should we use and what should we consider when we are doing project management, or how do we manage big projects, whether it's one project or multiple projects, okay? Something to bear in mind is that when you launch a project, there are many, many moving parts in a project. You will have your stakeholders, you will have your, let's say, let me give you an example, okay? Let's say, for me at Undi 18, when we ran the Undi 18 campaign, we have, we want to ensure, okay, so the end goal is that we want to lower the voting age. Okay, this is actually, honestly, when we started, it's a very impossible goal because you have to amend the constitution, right? And perlembagaan negara bukan sesuatu yang boleh digubal begitu sahaja, bukan sesuatu yang boleh ditukar begitu sahaja. Okay, untuk konteks perlembagaan negara hanya boleh diubah dengan mempunyai sokongan majoriti 2/3 parlimen dan Dewan Negara. Okay, so both Parliament and the Senate has to change, has to affirm, and it has to be 2/3. So when we launched Undi 18, it was against a government that was unfriendly, and then even when Pakatan Harapan was in government, they did not have 2/3 majority. So even if the Prime Minister said, okay, everyone Pakatan Harapan must support, it was still not enough to amend the constitution. So it was still quite an impossible goal, but along the way, then we plan backwards, right? How do you make sure that this goal is realistic? How do we make sure what activities we need to do along the way? And when you run a campaign like that, we manage, in the past 5 years, we've worked with almost 200 volunteers, in various capacities. Some other, they had moderated a workshop for us. They moderated a workshop for us. Some other, they have run sessions for us. They have been our panelists, or they've been our campaigners. What that means is that Undi team menjalankan beberapa jenis campaign, policy yang lain-lain. Contohnya polisi mengenai hak kesesamaan wanita, policy, even environment we have, but it's more focused on forest conservation, my hutan. So all this, we have about 7 to 8 campaigns ongoing, and these campaigns are all run by volunteers. They're all, university students, young professionals, high school students as well. We have volunteers on Sabah and Sarawak. In fact, I have never met, I think, about 70% of our volunteers, because it's all virtual. They join our programs and then they become our program alumni, and then they end up volunteering with us. So many moving pieces. How do I make sure that everyone is doing the work? Let's say different campaigns want to push for different content, dia orang nak buat video, yang tu nak buat Instagram live, yang tu nak pergi jumpa YB. How do I make sure that everyone is doing their work? So there are tools that can help you with planning this, you know. So these are just some tools that I have used before. Notion. Today I will share mostly about Notion because that's what we are currently using. I will even walk you through how Undi 18 uses Notion. Google Sheets. So if you're using a Google account, you access to Google Drive and Google G Suite apps for free. This is very useful for people yang mungkin tidak dapat beli ataupun download Microsoft Office dalam komputer mereka sebab the real price is very expensive, but I think you can find it on Shopee at much cheaper price. So I don't know how real is that and also whether there was a virus or not. So please do it on your own at your own risk. But Google Sheets is all online, it's free, and it's collaborative. Maksudnya jika kamu bekerja dalam kumpulan yang besar ataupun kamu bekerja dengan 2 orang sahaja pun kamu boleh guna Google Sheets. Saya you know, when my boyfriend and I want to plan on like, you know, buying things together, we use Google Sheets to plan. We put the prices, everything, and we can just add on each other without sending each other files back and forth. So Google Sheets, it's amazing. You can plan your work, you can plan your studies, you can even plan your life with it, okay? So I highly recommend to try it out. However, I prefer Notion because you can do a lot more functions without learning how to use the Google Sheets punya like formatting, you know. So unless you're like you're into that, some people will prefer Excel because you can create and code everything, but Notion is entirely no code, so you don't have to do anything like that. Trello is also a project management app, especially kalau kamu biasa dengan cara bagaimana programmer buat kerja, mereka sangat suka Trello sebab you can view your work in something called Kanban mode. However, you know, it's not for everyone and sometimes can be quite limiting. But you know, if it's for small projects or smaller teams, and if you're used to that style, you can try out Trello. Airtable is something like Notion. It's also free. It's very comprehensive. It's a lot more colorful too, but it's very overwhelming for me, so I don't like it. But primarily why I use Notion is because they give non-profits free accounts. So that's also one thing to consider as well. Jika kamu adalah persatuan NGO yang berdaftar, sebenarnya banyak platform atau apps besar-besar seperti ini yang akan memberi akses kepada NGO secara percuma untuk menggunakan aplikasi mereka. Contohnya G Suite, you know, if you're a registered NGO, if you have your registered in ROS or ROY, you know, no matter what NGO you are, conservation ke, persatuan belia, persatuan pemuda, whatever lah, you submit to Google, they will give you free NGO accounts for free, and it's unlimited email addresses, unlimited domains, everything is unlimited, except your storage, one account is 30 gig lah, but it's a lot for free already, you know. So do explore what are some perks that you're able to achieve as a non-profit organization, okay? I will also drop, if you have any question specific apps that may be free, I may know as well, you can drop it in the chat box. Or one thing that I didn't put here that is absolutely free if you're a non-profit is Canva. You know, I know everyone loves Canva. Canva is like, kalau tak payah pakai Photoshop, semua tak tahu buat, tapi nak buat design poster yang lawa sikit, pakai Canva. Canva is free for limited amount of stuff, but the Canva Pro is free for all NGOs and non-profits. So make sure that you, if you can get registered, or if you know someone who has a registered NGO account, get them to use it and then you get them to share their account with you. Okay, that's what we do with our volunteers. And last but not least is Microsoft Excel. So this is, you know, a lot of university students use this, you know, to keep track. It's not just for accounting, trust me. You can do so much more with it as well. And there are many tutorials online on how to use all these tools to fit you best. But today I'm going to walk you through specifically through Notion. But before I go into one particular tool, are there any questions so far about anything that I've shared? Does anyone have any questions? If there are no questions, also it's okay. Don't feel pressured to ask questions for the sake of asking question. Yeah. All right, cool. Okay, if you don't have questions, maybe you can let me know that you have no questions, so I know that, you know, that you guys are all catching up so far. Okay, all right. So next, when you are doing project management and you want to create trackers, you want to create all these like things to to make sure that your projects are on track, need to bear in mind exactly what are you doing and what do you need to consider in ensuring that your projects are successful. Okay, so let me share with you a link. Okay, let me stop sharing. And then, all right. Okay, so can you guys see my screen? Okay, all right. So this is a sample of a project template that we use in Undi 18. So I've also made this duplicate. You are able to duplicate this on your own as well. Let me just share this link. Duplicate. So if you're already familiar with this, then this shouldn't be that hard. Hopefully you just learn how you can create new stuff. But everyone, if you do need a Notion account to access it, okay. But in the meantime, let me show you what are some stuff that you can begin to keep note of. So I know it's very easy and very convenient to just use Google Docs for everything, ataupun Microsoft Word, where you just type all your meeting notes, and then every time you want to have a meeting, you open the same Google Doc and then you just type in the same note. So then what you have is the end of the year, ataupun end of your project, you have 30 pages of meeting minutes, and it's all in one row, right? It's all just pages and pages and pages of notes. So is that really the best way and the most efficient way for you to use your time, for you to use your energy? What if you want to think about what did Howard say 2 meetings ago? But I want to read back 8 pages of meeting notes because we spoke so much about it. And I want to watch back the past 2 recordings of Zoom call that is 2 hours long to find what specifically he said. Or even think about how I have a meeting with my funder, I have a meeting with my beneficiary. Okay, maybe you guys, your beneficiary is like animals lah, so you can't talk to your beneficiaries, right? But maybe for me, my beneficiaries are my kids, my students, right? So, on Monday I spoke to my student, on Tuesday I spoke to my funder, and then on Wednesday I spoke to KBS, Ministry of Youth and Sports. Okay, so how do I organize all these things? So these are just some trackers that you can use to sort of keep track of what's going on and what's happening. Okay, so what you can see here. Okay, so each page that in Notion, actually hold on. Okay, I don't like this. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, so for me, I don't like having so many having so many Google Docs, everything. I like having it all in one place. So you can see here, you can create a meeting. So for example, maybe meeting with student A. So when did this happen? Happened on the 16th. Immediately it's coded in for you already. Who was involved? So if you're sharing this with your team, so all your teams have already accounts, so you can just tag them immediately. So I'm not gonna tag other people later they see it, they'll be like, what the heck is going on, right? But you can tag okay, Qyira had the meeting, Quet had the meeting, and then Howard had the meeting. Okay, you can also add one more. For example, who was absent from the meeting? So you just need to insert one more table. You look what kind of property you want to have. So the great thing about Notion that you can create, you don't have to code all these different categories, right? It's already given you a set of categories. So maybe you can make it as a person and then change this to absentees or tidak hadir, right? So then you can say okay, so Qyira attended, okay, but Quet was supposed to attend, but he didn't attend. So let's make a note here, I don't know, especially if you want to keep track of attendances with your beneficiaries, so you can track, okay, who didn't attend how many workshops and stuff like that. And then what are some of the meeting objectives that you want to have, And the great thing about it is that every time you include this, right, it also opens up as a card on its own. So do you want to put images here? You can put your notes, more notes. You can put things like files, photos, screenshots, any relevant documents and stuff within it, and it's all saved within each meeting notes lah, so to say, right? So each of this is called like a card, so to say, and then each of this you can actually put in items. And for example, let me show you. Let me throw in some stuff. bear with me. This is also my first time doing like a live demo of our trackers. Okay, actually let me share my my whole computer screen, which might be easier for you to see my thought process. Is that possible? Oh, it's only a window or application, but then, okay, never mind. You know what? Let's just try. All right, so I don't know if you can see that I'm trying to pull a file out, but that's all right. Yeah, so okay, let's say I want to, okay, you know what? I'm too lazy to do this. Let me just show you Undi 18's one. Okay, so this is, okay, so you see Undi 18 has many workspaces. Okay, so you can create your own private one. You can create also public workspaces. So for Undi 18, we have a public workspace that is shared among all our members. So you see here is shared around 24 workspace members, meaning everyone, including our interns lah. So we are 24 people. You can customize it to your own way. So you can add your team picture, you can add your logo, and then you can have like all these important pages. You can even put in things like, you know, your own organization playlist, you know, just to keep your team hype. And when team meetings, you know, brainstorming sessions, you all can use your own songs. It's a mix of like, right now it's a mix of Hamilton, Paramore, some Gen Z TikTok music. So you can clearly see we have a very interesting people in our organization. But what's important is that you can have so many different kinds of stuff, okay? So let me just share with you. So this is not confidential, it's okay. So this is, and what the best part that I like about Notion that Trello doesn't have, that there are multiple views that you can see, and it depends on different people's preferences lah, okay? So the one that we are most commonly used to is like the Excel type, which is table. So you just change the table view and see all your, it's organized this way, right? So you can see who is absent from team meetings, certain meetings, who attends them, you know, and then if there are any some external meetings, right? And then for meeting minutes, my favorite thing that we can actually label what type of meetings are these. So for us, we have something called MMM. MMM is our Monday morning meeting, it's a weekly organization meeting. But we have MMM, and because sometimes we do media interviews, and you know it helps that we all from the same page. So we put all our interview answers in one side, so that you know if Tarma does an interview, he can refer to my notes. If I do interview, I can refer to his notes. External meetings, certain team meetings, and ad hoc meetings, right? So this, however, is not my favorite view. Let me show you what my favorite view is. This is my favorite view. So you can actually arrange it by meeting types. Okay, so if you want to go into the database, you just say, okay, I want to view the meeting minutes of last week. So I just click on under MMM. I can see all the MMM categorized on one side. And then this is our MMM and our meeting notes that happen, right? And then what are some of the interview, or and then say, okay, Qyira and Tarma has an interview, and these are, so we always put all our questions and answers here, so that we can respond to people easily as well. So, you know, Tarma and I did an interview together before, last week with Awani. So we wrote all our answers here so that we know, okay, and we won't repeat the same things, you know, when we do the interview. So it's all tracked here. So you can see these are the properties that you see on the main page. But when you click into it, you can actually add notes inside as well. You know, so for example, so I click on it. See, I obviously didn't tag all this out because it's not relevant to this one. But I actually, you know, I can brainstorm, I can think, I can draft, you know, all these different. And then we see we have our meetings with our funders as well. You know, with the French embassy, with UNICEF. So it's all packed in one place so that, you know, it's so organized. So I want to, and the thing is that you can also sort of like filter it and sort it in so many ways, right? You can filter it to only show meetings in July. You can filter it to only show meetings that Tarma attends. You can only show meetings that, you know, you were absent in. So these are just great ways to organize your data and organize your information internally. Because if you're organized internally, you know, it really increases the success of your programs externally as well. So that when you do programs, public engagement, dia tak serabut lah sebab you have all the information in one place. Okay. Now another, you know, then there are some nice things as well that you can share. So for us, we have this thing called our internal Undi 18 directory. So if you work remotely, you know, you can create like, you know, everyone's like database, right? Everyone's like upload information. So for example, like, you click on Dharma and then, you can see what's his title in Undi team, which team he belongs to, when did he join, a fun fact, and then you can also add pictures into it, right? So like so you can see that, because when you work remotely, you need to find ways to connect with each other, so each of these cards people can actually personalize on their own, so like, okay, so this is my friend Shen, who loves emojis, so her bio is full of emojis, and hers is basically the LinkedIn profile already. So it's really up to you to customize how you want your Notion your Notion pages to look like. So this is for like our master directory. So for Undi 18, we deal with a lot of stakeholders, we deal with a lot of media, a lot of student groups. So we want to have one place that we can categorize and keep everything, So we have a master directory where we have, names, we have organizations, contact information, what category they fall in, So for example, I can like sort, I can filter it by like category contains Sarawak. So I want to reach out to Sarawak people. I want to reach out, let's say I want to reach out to only politicians. Okay, so these are the politicians' contact information that we have. If I want to reach out to media, right? Because we engage in media a lot. So these are all the information that we are tracking. So it's just a great way to, and you can actually do all this on Excel sebenarnya, memang boleh. Tetapi this is great for people who are not comfortable with using Excel intensely and who are not comfortable with using all that stuff a lot lah. So I shared with you earlier a project template, right? This one. So I'm going to share with you one example of how we use it in Undi team. Maybe I'll share. Let me think which one. Yeah, maybe I'll share this one, Dewa Muda Malaysia. So this is something that we are currently working on. So as you can see, on the right hand, your launch day thing. So these are not things that was in the project template. We created this section because we needed to create it, right? But you see in our meeting minutes, so we use similar. So every team meeting minutes, we share updates, we discuss items, it's recorded, we assign roles, and the great part is that if you have you can create, a weekly task as well, a weekly task board. So, so these are just to-do lists for my team to keep track of. And then each of the tasks, you can actually assign people to work on it, right? So then you can see to-do list. So within, it's just a very flexible way of planning, and truly you can plan anything you want, right? And then we also have a master calendar, as you can see here. A master calendar that now with API, it syncs with Google Calendar as well. Kalau kamu pakai Google Calendar, but it's a master calendar that we can share everything. So for example, maybe I'll share something. Last month, more stuff I think. Yeah. So yeah, see. So on the 8th of June, we uploaded. We want to upload our mentor. So we plan our captions here. We discuss here how to check a caption. We uploaded another graphic, caption, the text and then the picture. So everything is parked in one place, so you don't even, sometimes with Google Drive pun you can buka folder, then buka this folder, then buka this folder. So this way, it's like, I love it because it's all in one page, So you nak cari balik pun, you can, again, you boleh je pergi atas ni, and then you just filter lah, right? You want to add a filter of like maybe status. So you want to see whether what are the things that have already been posted or dah siap as a boss, right? Okay, you click to it. And then, okay, sorry, let me add a filter. Okay, so let's say I have a boss and I want to see, okay, all the, how is my team working? What is done already? Okay, so, okay, these are all the stuff that is done already. You can even choose how you want to see and who's responsible. So you can really even choose your bird's eye view, what is like, what you're able to see at one shot. So some things is very messy, you don't want to see everything. So maybe you only want to see like the status and like maybe who's responsible for it, right? So you can hide this. Yeah. So you can see, okay, these are all the done. Yeah. So things like that. So it's really, it's super flexible. It's and it's just so easy for you to track your work. And it's what as technology progresses, I love this thing called a no code movement. If you guys are ever curious about productivity tools or hacks, you just Google no code movements, you'll be able to see so much tools, so many tools that they recommend. Okay. And oh, one thing that I really want to share and why I'm such a Notion like evangelist lah, okay, so to say, because, okay, let me delete this. You can toggle to timeline view, and what I mean by timeline view is, any of you heard about Gantt charts before? Basically, it's a great project management tool to use to measure timelines, right? So you toggle timeline view, right? So you can see like, okay, what post goes out when, and then sometimes if you want to, let's say a program is like 1 week long, right? You can just drag it 1 week. So let's say, assuming this item is 1 week long, you just drag it and you can see, okay, I know it starts on the 20th, it ends on the 29th. So this goes on like that. So it's just so convenient for you to like communicate to your team members, communicate to your funders, because you can also share this to public. So for example, let me show you. So for this project, our funder is UNICEF. Okay, so we also want to ask UNICEF to cross post some of the stuff that we put out, right? Because they are sponsoring ma. So we're like, oh, but we want to share our whole project tracker. It's so messy, they won't know how to use it. Then they use Microsoft Office, it's so giant and so chunky. This kind of things is like, so they're not used to it. So let me try to find, where is the UNICEF one? So we actually have a specific calendar for UNICEF to look at. I'm not sure, where is it? Is it here? Okay, I'm not sure because my team is the one doing it, but we create a whole separate calendar just for UNICEF to see. And the great thing about Notion is that it can also be a participant. So I know all of you in Reef Spawn, you have participant packs, right? Packets in a way, right? That is PDF that Reef Check gives to you. So for us, we actually created one on Notion for our participants. And how this is good, that it allows us to edit it, it allows us to add items to it without sending them a new PDF every week. So an example here, so for Fellow Parliament, which is the program that Quet went to sit in because he's working for that one also, we created this Fellow Parliament Malaysia homepage for our participants. So it's like a mini, learning system. So we say that congratulations, you're a fellow. Here are some. We even added a Spotify playlist for them. We added information. We added. You can add things like who are the organizers. We added things like, and most importantly is that what are some things that they need to remember, right? So there's a tutorials, there are program rules, there's a calendar for them to keep track of, so for example, okay, when are your workshops, who is conducting the workshops and things like that, so that they also can have it in their own, on their own records lah. And then we also put here, what workshops are coming up soon, so that they can block the calendar, find the Zoom information. So for example, today, 19 July is this workshop right now. So the link to join is here, and information about the workshop is also here. So you see, so it's all the information in one place for them to access. And then we also have even like the previous, I think, workshop materials as well. Yeah. See, so all our past slides, we just pack it in one place according to the different workshops, so that participants can just go back in and learn and revisit. All of this, I need to emphasize, is all built by young people. Okay, this whole page, it's all built by my interns who are 18, 19 years old, under the guidance of my team, who are, no one is like, only 2 people in Undi older than me, and I'm 27 years old. So it's very intuitive. You don't need a computer science degree. You don't need to learn complicated things to build all of this, So it's really great if you're a small organization running a small program, that you just need somewhere to track all your stuff lah. Okay, so you see our calendar, and then we also have something called OKR, but this is very complicated lah. So, but basically, it's how we track our goals and targets. So you can see, for recruitment, we target to have 45 fellows, and then 5 people dropped out. Okay, we targeted. These are so the updates that happen lah. So then we rank ourselves on how we did on that. So number 2 obviously is not great because we rank it out of 5. And then what happens? You can calculate down here the average. So again, don't need to code. So overall, this project is ranked at a 2.8, which is like okay, but can be improved. Yeah. So that's how we keep track of our progress within the projects lah. So how does Undi 18 manage campaigns with 7 campaigns at the same time? So what I've shared with you so far, right? The workspace, the project, these are all internal trackers that we use within the organization. Publicly, oh sorry, not this one. Publicly, we have this thing called the master campaign tracker. So you see here, this is a workspace that they share with 7 campaign teams, okay? And these are the campaign team that we have. So each of the campaigns have their own page to work on. So see they have team pages, they have their task trackers, different departments, all on one page. I think the most active one recently is Undi Sarawak. Yeah, so when you want to coordinate press statement, they want to coordinate Canva designs and everything. So you can see it's all broken down here, when they want to plan what kind of content to put out. So they just block, see? So they did a Gawai post. So the Canva link is here. You can leave comments as well. You can assign people's roles to it. So it's essentially, find a system that works for you and find a system that works for your team. And then you'll be able to ensure that your project is like, it will, hopefully be smooth sailing. The hardest part, in my opinion, every time in this kind of stuff is always convincing your team to be disciplined enough to use it. So that is always the most challenging part. But as a leader, you are able to set the tone of your project, set the tone of your team. So for example, what I do is that I would say like, okay, if someone gives me a paragraph to check on contohnya on Google Docs, I said no, put it on Notion because I nak senang cari nanti. Then they will like, oh okay lah, Well, I mean, but the good thing for me is that I'm the boss lah, so they have to listen. But for you guys, when you are leaders, when you are founders, make sure that you set the expectations for your team. Okay, which brings me again later how you do team management. But before that, before I go into, I think what is next? Before I go into the team management part. Does anyone have any questions or clarifications you have about this particular tool that I've shared? Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so feel free to use the chat or just to unmute yourself to ask questions. Yeah. I think Arif, you have a question.
Hi, Qyira. Thank you.
Hi.
So I want to ask question if how long did it take you to master this, and any link or video on YouTube that you
Yes, that's a good question. So let me preface this that I am an art student. Saya belajar komunikasi dengan gender studies. I didn't touch Excel in my studies at all, by the way. So it was super easy for me to learn. I learned this in like a few hours. But before I learn, I'm the kind that I'm the kind that I read the blogs, I read Reddit, and I watch on YouTube tutorials. There are many, many YouTube tutorials about this because this is a very, I think, hip app nowadays. It's very, very popular now. So there are many tutorials. In fact, there are many online templates. So the greatest part about Notion is that, okay, kalau you tengok kat tepi the sidebar, right? So for me, so I have a few teams lah in a way that uses it, right? So I have my personal one as well. So I call it my second brain. So I plan like my personal life, like groceries, my own tasks, my relationship even, right? Like groceries lah. And then I share articles, right? And then, but if I go to Undi 18 one, but anyway, you scroll to the bottom here, there's templates. So sebenarnya ada banyak contoh yang telah dibina oleh like Notion themselves to help people create like templates. So you don't even have to create from scratch, So you want to do onboarding for new teammates, new team members. Yeah, you can just they create for you already, So I started from here first, learning the templates myself, and then I just built my own as how I needed to. Now, once you figure out how the blocks and the pages work, you can build your own already. So you just click in, and then if you want to use it, you just click this, use this template, and it automatically duplicates to your page already. So I would recommend starting with the templates that Notion gives you. But nowadays, more and more people are also putting their templates for free online. Some of them are also selling their templates, but it's very cheap, like $1, $2 only. If you feel like it works for you, you can pay for it. But honestly, it is so easy to build by yourself. Yeah. So fun fact, our project template, right? I did not build this. My a 19-year-old intern built it for Undi team, and we have been using it for 5 months now. So if it's really, it's so user friendly. I cannot emphasize this enough. So that if you want to sort of like figure out an easy and fast way to onboard people, I think this is one of the best apps out there. Another one is also Airtable. And Airtable, I think, also gives you a form straight away. So you don't have to create Google form anymore. You can just fill an Airtable form and it links to an Airtable sheet terus. Tapi Airtable didn't give me non-profit price, so I didn't take Airtable. So for me, Notion, if you want to, I think for the free account, it has a limited size to upload. I think only 5 MB per file. But that's one of the, but you can look at different plans that are available. So that's available here. So mine now is the team plan. Kononnya is $10 per person per month, but I have non-profit registration, so mine is free. So you can see mine is $0 per month because we are registered NGO. So explore all this and all these options for you. So you can even connect to Google Drive. So you can embed files in here immediately. You can even connect with like Evernote. I know some people use Evernote for your personal note taking. So it's super simple. And I don't know if this is important to anyone, but it has dark mode. I think some people are really into that. Tapi there are macam-macam lah that you can do to make it more comprehensive, lebih gempak dan sebagainya. Tapi bagi saya, kalau if you're a beginner and you're just starting, the free plan is really good enough. I started with the free plan for my own personal life, and then I realized, this is actually so good and so easy for my team to learn as well. Sorry, my computer is laggy. For my team to learn as well. So I just onboarded everyone teruslah into our team. So what's good is that you can actually create like a handbook. So for newcomers in Undi team, the first day, their job is to read this page. Their job is to understand all the information here. Okay, so we even put here what to do and what to read in your first week. So first, how do you set up your accounts? How do you set up your tools? What are the important links you need to know? What is our office address? Although now that it's virtual, not important lah. But we tell, okay, how do you apply for sick leave? We have our leave tracker. And then we tell them to introduce themselves. So it's very young, so that's why its language is like that. Because everyone is like super young, so we are not serious people, But we have all our company policies here. It's a great way to just put everything into a document. So you can see, for example, we created recently all these different policies, right? What our commitments are as an organization. So it's a great way to show your team that you guys are passionate, you guys are organized, and you guys know what you're doing. So it's that. So for example, we also give our team tips on like how to give feedback to each other, right? So we can share resources, you can share links, everything is here. So I always feel the most important parts in having a work a database is that what is your handbook, what are your policies, and you make it clear from the get-go what are the intentions and the vibe that you want to put out as an organization. So anyone new that comes on, those can, I have a great picture of what Undi team is about. I understand what is a team culture like. Yeah. Okay. Does that answer your question, Arif? So I also say it's very easy to do. It is very convenient and very user friendly lah. Yeah. Okay. Edmund's question. They have to run a crash course. So actually, to be very honest, the only person I had to really teach was my co-founder. Because he is a very uncle kind of person, although he's only 1 year older than me. He's very resistant. He's from his previous company was the kind that everything is done on WhatsApp. And then kalau nak buat edit to file, I send to you, you send to me, I send to you. So you're V4, V5, V6, V7. Oh my God, what a nightmare. And I'm just like, this is not efficient at all. So now he is like slowly like, because everything we do now, okay, Tarma, please check this, it's on Notion. And he's like, okay, I'll go use. So you have to norm your team. And on the first day, we definitely teach them how to use it. So we definitely teach them how to like, sort of like build the stuff as well. So it doesn't take long, especially people who are used to technology lah. I would say you might have challenge if you're not used to like technology, but honestly, if you can use Zoom, you can use like all this stuff is very easy one. But let me share with you, actually I should share this with you guys as well. So we actually ran a Notion workshop within our team as well, by my intern. Alamak, I don't think he dropped his resources here. But when I find it, I'll share it with you guys lah. But basically, we created a free template for people to just learn as well. So they are step by step. So we created like a Notion treasure hunt. So they're like, so the instructions will be like, okay, create a calendar. So you have to learn how to create a calendar and things like that. So it's a game that we make everyone play on the first day, so that they are able to learn it quite fast lah. But it's always a learning process at Undi 18. We don't believe that you make mistakes because you don't know. We just believe that you have time to learn and you just have spaces to improve. So we help out along the way lah. That's why the templates are very, very useful, because once you have the template, you don't have to waste so much time teaching everyone to create things from scratch. You know, you have all these spaces available already, that you just go inside and pack and throw all your stuff inside. Okay, so that's all the Notion part from me right now. I think it's 11 o'clock. Yeah, all the Notion part from me right now. I'm going to move on to how to run teams and how to manage teams, and then we'll have a break afterwards. So I did schedule in a break, but if you feel like I'm talking too fast or talking too much, just let me know, and I'm happy to modify my sessions. Okay. Let me just check the. Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. Yeah. And to be very honest, I learned all these tips and tricks from YouTube. So when MCO 1.0, I was very bored. I had no income because all our projects were stopped. Not because of MCO, because of government change. So all our projects were stopped. We had no projects coming in. We had no campaigns going on. I was just thinking like, okay, how I got so much time now, right? For 1-2 months, we had no projects. Why not I find a new system now? So I went on YouTube, I went on Reddit. That's how I discovered. I actually found Notion on Product Hunt. I'm not sure how many of you knows this website called Product Hunt, where everyday developers and startup people jump out their ideas in there, and sometimes it's completed apps for people to explore. So I found it there. I was so intrigued by how minimalistic it was. I went to YouTube, I watched like, I don't know, 20 videos, and I started building Undi ET's Notion. So, you know, if you want to find a system that works for you, you have to take the time to learn, and you have to take the time to figure it out. Because you as a leader, you know, you are the one managing your team, you are the one managing your projects, you are the one that will be held accountable to everything. So find a system that works for you. Is Notion the best system? It's not for everyone, right? Sometimes it can be a challenge. So it can be overwhelming, but what I like about systems is that it is scalable as you want it to be. You nak system yang comprehensive, yang track semua benda, you can create it. You want a system that only see the big picture, say, okay, Saturday, workshop, Sunday, report, Saturday, media. You can as well. You know, it's really up to you how you want to build and how you want to craft it. Tetapi what's important is finding a way to sort of like have documentation. That's always the most important part in project management, because let's say your team member will be like, oh, I already sent this grant, and you'll be like, oh, where? Like, you know, I don't see a copy of it, I don't see a draft of it, because it's not recorded, you know, either in Google Drive or in WhatsApp or in Notion or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? Tapi if you don't have a paper trail or documentation, it can be very challenging. I saw Serena's message about like convincing the elder generation. I know it's hard, and I don't think it's I mean, if it's easy, then, you know, this app will be like everywhere, right? But as most things goes with team building, all that, you know, again, you should consider like, you know, what is the most important part of your team, right? Or is it is having all these trackers vital to ensuring the success of your programs? If it is, then, you know, invest time and energy into convincing your team that, okay, this is what we will slowly transition to, you know. And when I recommend, when you do transitions from older systems to new systems, don't transition everything at once. You will scare people away. It's complicated. So what I started with my co-founder last time is that I said, okay, let's start by putting all our meeting minutes on Notion. We don't put everything else. We just put meeting minutes only. So every time meeting minutes, we open this app, you know, and then we slowly, okay, let's track this funder. Let's begin tracking our interviews. And then slowly, as our team, more team members join us, the longer we use, the more we realize, oh, actually, it's very easy to just create new systems and new trackers, it's so easy to duplicate stuff. So we are now almost, I would say we are not 100% Notion. We're like about 70-80% of our work is done on Notion. And it's been about 7 months of us using it. So, it's a process lah. It's not about immediately copy pasting your entire Google Sheets into a new app, And even then you might work Google Sheets. I know some people, STEM people especially, they are just so in love with Google Sheets because they cannot move away from like the flexibility of it. So if that's what you want, then go ahead. It's really how you sort of like what works best for you is the best app out there. What works best for me may not be the best for you, but if you find something that works, then that is the best one for you. It's just like vaccines, right? The first one available is the best for you. It doesn't matter what brand, as long as it helps you get to where you want to go. Yeah. See, casual vaccine promo there. Please get vaccinated and get registered if you haven't yet. Yeah. Okay. So next is building a team for a successful project. As much as technology can help you, people will be the most important part of your project. And with people comes drama. With people comes conflict. I'm not sure. I haven't dealt much with like animals or non-human or organisms or beings, but I would assume that with humans, the problem is that we are all we have our own opinions, we have our own ideas of what something should be, and sometimes you may be stuck in a position where like I want to be a leader, but I also want to make sure that my team don't hate me. And trust me, that is a constant that's constant thought in my mind. I'm a co-founder of an organization. I run a movement that's about 200 plus volunteers. How do I push my agenda and my idea forward without like being like ordering people around, conservation? Yeah, I mean, yeah, without offending people, and I think the most challenging part about running volunteer organizations and side projects, which I assume all of you are doing here, or even within your own teams, like it's your job, right? Is making sure that everyone feels valued, and everyone plays a role in your project, and everyone is held accountable to your project. These are the most three important things when building a team, right? Which is why for me, recruiting and selecting the right team members is extremely key. And sometimes why it's also best to not work with your friends or work with your partner, for example, right? Unless you are able to agree on something. Unless you're able to get there lah. So in my situation, personally, right, my co-founder is also my boyfriend, right? And we've been dating for almost 6 years, and Undi 18 is 5 years now. So we dated before we started Undi 18. So we feel like, okay, we can figure it out, conflicts together. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. But as you mature and you're able to establish boundaries lah. So in certain cases, you can work with friends, but in many other cases, you can't. So because otherwise you'll have a breakdown in one of the three areas, right? Whereby people either don't respect each other, people don't have accountable. So if your friend is in charge of sending out this proposal and then they didn't send and then you didn't get the money, like it's probably very awkward to scold your friend, right? So how do you find a middle ground where you can still establish love and respect for each other, but also hold each other accountable and be responsible for the work that you're doing? So let me introduce to you. Before I introduce to the framework itself, I do want to ask you guys, in your past experiences, what is key in forming a good team? What is important? Is it mood? Is it incentives? Is it money? Money is also important, right? Sometimes. So what is important in forming a good team? Yeah. Okay, a lot of communications. Anything else? Anyone else? That you feel or maybe what do you think is even like that you don't see often, that you would like to see more when you are forming teams? People, person, incentives, yeah. Perspectives, expectations. open to different inputs. Yeah, so I think these are all, and as you can see here, right, everything that you guys put here, except maybe incentives, none of this is materialistic, right? None of this can be solved with an app. It cannot be solved with a software. It cannot be solved with, wow, that's a very big, well, I think many people don't understanding, is it? Okay. It cannot be solved with, purely items, lah, right? But it is about the culture that you are building in the team. It is a culture that you set, what kind of, what kind of benchmark you want to set within your own team. And that's a painful lesson that you learn along the way as a leader, like it or not. I think everyone will have a time where they fumble or they make a mistake. And in terms of like, I don't know, either you offend a team member or you have a team member that's not performing, and then you offend your whole team, because it's, when someone is not performing or they're not held accountable, it's also very disrespectful to everyone else, right? So you get feelings of hurt, you get feelings of anger. So that's what you have to manage as a leader as well. So I'd like to introduce to you the MOCA framework. Okay, so I think Priyanka, was it, that loves coffee? So, hopefully this is a framework that you will be able to consume every day and internalize, because it's coffee related. The MOCA framework stands for 5 things: manager, owner, consultant, helper, and approver. So does that mean that your team should only have 5 people? No, it means that your team should have 5 roles at the very least. One person can have 2 roles. One roles can have 5 people. However, I would recommend that the manager and approval roles should only be 1 person each. And essentially, let me break it down to you. Okay, so for example, helper will probably be like your most surface level volunteers. They help you ensure your program is success. They can be your facilitator, they can be your volunteer, they can be like even your supporter or cheerleaders, right, at your programs, where you need help and ensuring it's successful. Next one is, and then you have manager. So manager is the one that sort of like someone that holds the project, ensuring it's successful. So manager and owner can be the same person if it's a small team. But in my context, for example, I oversee many different projects in Undi team, right? So in many instances in Undi team, I am the manager and approver, meaning that I assign owners to my team members. So I say, okay, Roshini, you own this project. So you are responsible in terms of keeping the deadline. You are responsible for working with the interns and working with the associates, because you own this project. I will check in with you to ensure this project is going smoothly. So if I want to get updates on the project, I won't go to my intern and say, hey, can you tell me, have we sent this press statement yet? Because they're intern, they're not responsible for everything. They are helping to making sure the project is a success. So why should you have all these different labels, so to say? Is it to create like boundaries? Is it to create like hierarchy, or is it to create like, I am the approver, so I'm the big boss? No, it's not that at all. But it is to create, articulate the roles specifically so that you can assign ownership and assign and ensure that you can hold each other accountable for the work that you do lah. So let me share another example. Hold on now. My Zoom bar is so annoying. Oh, hold on. Yeah. Okay. So let me share with you. So this grant that we have. Okay. So for example, in this particular project, we have a very big team, because we have a lot of interns working with us on this team. So you see, so I am the approver, meaning that anything that goes out for this project, I approve every social media content, every engagement, every proposal. Dharma, my co-founder, is a consultant, because he is not directly managing this project. He will be the go-to person to check, like, okay, hey Dharma, like, should we word it this way? Is this angle correct? Should we meet with this politician? And then Roshini, my staff member, will be the owner of the project, because she's the one in charge of everyone else in this team. And then we have 3 managers, and then these 3 managers focus on different areas of the campaign. So for this project, we have many moving parts. We have content production, we have infographics, we have audio video production, we have social media production, and we have stakeholders engagement. So we assign 3 associates to manage 3 different areas of the campaign. And then all of this are our interns. So they help us make the project successful. Like they do the design, they do the writing, they do research and stuff like that. So then we also have this in our handbook. So everyone on the first day will understand what is a MOCA. So this is how you norm people, yeah. So I think someone asked, how do you get people to be on board in this immediately? It's very hard. It's harder if you already have a team, but if you are building a new team, it's great to just on the first day, you clear and you manage all the expectations. You say that, we want to ensure that this project goes well. Hence, these are all the expectation that we are asking for, that we are assigning roles, we are coordinating and stuff like that. Okay. So this is one example of how in Undi 18 we do we break down the MOCA roles and make sure that everyone has a role to play as well. And it's also a great way to, if you work with especially younger volunteers, right, they feel included and they feel involved in your project. So they don't feel like, oh, I'm too young, what is my role? Everyone has a role. Either you're a helper or you're a manager, or everyone has a role. Someone also pointed incentives earlier, and that's correct. Incentives don't have to just come in form of money or Grab vouchers, right? Incentives can come in form of recognition. It can come in the form of validation. So another tip is that, when we launch a new campaign, right? If you see Undi 18's pages, like either Senate 18 or My Hutan or whatever, when we have new team members, we always feature them on social media, because it's very hard to motivate people who do things, who are volunteers. And what I mean, of course, I'm not saying that they don't have genuine intention on joining your project, right? But when when they are volunteers and they're not compensated for their time, you have to figure out a way to show your appreciation to them instead of just expecting them to give them your time and energy, especially when we're in a pandemic, right? Everyone's mental health is affected. Like, everyone is affected. And we have to understand that everyone is living through a global crisis and everyone is finding a way to survive, and sometimes volunteering for a cause helps people, give them purpose and all that. So you have to acknowledge and appreciate the effort that they're giving you, and sometimes setting clear boundaries, setting expectations, managing their energy is a great way to actually respect their time and energy that they put into your project lah. So that's what we try to do here at Undi 18. Even if it's volunteering, right, I always try to find a way to compensate them for their time, because man, in this economy, right, everyone needs support, everyone needs help. You have to you try your best to make sure that everyone's taken care of lah. Yeah. This is another model. So MOCA is derived from this model called Darcy, but this Darcy model is not I'm not the biggest fan of, because it's very complicated. I feel like MOCA is way more simple. It's way easier to teach young people about. But it's just, this is another way to word things lah. There's no right or wrong model. Find out which sort of elaborations work for you the best. But I figured that I should just put this here anyway, so that you guys can have a context of what the different the different available frameworks out there. Yeah. So I'm not going to deep dive so much into this because it's pretty much the same thing, just using different words. And a very quick one before I think I give everyone a break at 11:30. Another quick one is communications. So I mentioned earlier just now, some people come from a workplace, so everything's done on WhatsApp. And I can 100% guarantee, I don't know about the marine conservation world, but in the activism world, Jesus Christ, there are so many WhatsApp groups, I was recently checking with my co-founder. We are in 142 WhatsApp groups, and they're just different activism groups. They're different with media, with so many, and it's a nightmare. But within Undi 18, we use something called Slack. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of it, but Slack is it's a communications platform that is that's mostly used for businesses, startups. Let me share with you how it looks like. Let me stop sharing this screen and share my Slack instead. Okay, so you should be able to see my Slack. So our Slack we have, so the great thing about Slack that I like is that it's one app, but it has all the channels and different projects. So because I am leading the organizer, I'm in, of course, many different channels lah, but usually not everyone is in like 20, 30 channels. So we label all our different projects. So we have the advocacy lab project that we discuss. So we discuss, our designs. We communicate to each other in this project. We have a fellow parliament space as well, where we discuss things like our participants. We plan and communicate each other lah. So you don't just, because when you do on WhatsApp, right, you drown. Everything just drowns in like messages, memes, WhatsApp stickers, dan pelbagai-bagainya lah. So these are the way we communicate with each other. But I think what's Slack is the downside is that it is not free. It is not I think the free one only allows up to like 30K messages, which, if you're a big team and use it often, can finish quite fast. Another one that we use is Discord. So I'm sure if you are a gamer, you'll probably be familiar with Discord. But Discord is great for community building. And if I'm not mistaken, every function in Discord is free. If you want like bonus things, then that is paid. Let me show you one of the ways we use Discord. So we use Discord primarily to manage our participants. I think one of your Reef Spawn participants, Arman, is in our fellow parliament as well. So he's attending that one. But in fellow parliament, we use Discord to communicate with our participants. One is because we want to ensure safety. We often run programs with underage participants. It's a mix, right? So Discord means that we don't have to share their phone numbers or their contact information to each other. If you add participant in a WhatsApp group, everyone will have access to each other's phone numbers. And we want to avoid, for example, a situation where an older participant privately messages a younger participant. So if this is an issue for you, please consider exploring different ways of communication with your beneficiaries or your participants. Because, there are so many situations where these young people can be exploited or bad things happen. So as an organizer, I feel like it's always a responsibility for you to ensure that things are safer. So in Discord, we also create different channels. We create different groups for all the different teams to have their group discussions and stuff like that. So we also have a way to communicate with our facilitators. Which Quack is one of them, with our facilitators to communicate about participant updates and things like so. You can make the channels private. You can make it public. You can also set channels where people cannot reply to. So you can put things like ground rules. You can put like reminders. You can put like So for example, the peraturan server, so channel the safety guidelines, advisors and all that. So it's a great way to just sort of like organize your message so it doesn't get overwhelming and doesn't drown out, especially when young people, right? I'm sure you all can relate to this. We all have very short attention span. We're the TikTok and Twitter generation, man. We have such short attention span that we have to create platforms that we can communicate efficiently with people, and I get very stressed when I join a program and then they add everyone in a WhatsApp group. I'm like, oh my God, why? So you can see, you can create help me channel and people just put any questions about like how to do fundraising, how to do like, how to plan their projects, getting advice from each other. So it's a great way to do community building. So I think that's the only one I can share because the rest are not really run by us. So we have a channel where we can park screenshots as well, so people can download them if they want. Yes, and I'm very proud of the name. So everyone is assigned to a specific group with their facilitators so that they can discuss in a private, safe space for any question that they have. So we have a channel for opportunities. I'm sorry if it's loud, the garbage truck is outside. So we have a channel for opportunities where people can advertise their projects. We can put in like external opportunities here, workshop updates. So we are running a TikTok workshop soon. I'll be happy to share this with you guys. Let me just share this link here, the Rose. If you guys are interested to join a TikTok workshop organized by Undi 18, please feel free to sign up. It's free, if you're interested to create fun videos for your campaigns. But the point is, there are many ways to create community engagement. And I think, my best experiences so far is with Discord and Slack. I think also the bonus with Discord that you can actually Google things like creating bots. So you can create bots that spot like curse words, things like that. So if you're creating a public Discord that you want to do, let's say you want to do a club rakan planule, I don't know, whatever you guys are, right? And then you want to put like 100, 200 people in one Discord channel. So you may need to moderate a little bit, right? You may need to put like moderators, you may need to put bots to verify them. And I think, I'm not expert in this, but I think online there are many, many tutorials to figure it out lah. So I am more well-versed in Slack because I've used it in my previous company. And I know Slack is not free, but if you have non-profit, it is free forever. So, being registered gives you a lot of perks. And if you're able to, apply to all this free stuff that can help you make your work so much better. I'm on a personal mission to move away from WhatsApp for everything. So please consider and explore all these different options. All right. So I think it's 11:30 now. So I do want to give everyone a 10 minutes break, if that's okay. 10 minutes. I think 10 minutes is sufficient to like get a drink. If you want to get some water, if you want to go toilet and like stretch your legs, do some stretches. So Howard, maybe we can come back at maybe 11:43 or so, 11:40, 11:43, or 11:45 was okay lah. Yeah, what do you recommend?
I think that's fine. Let's set it at 11:40. 11:40 for now.
11:40. Okay, so I'll see everyone back here at 11:40. Yeah. In the meantime, I think I've dropped the link for Notion as well in the chat already. So if you want to take time to explore it, feel free to do it. Okay. So I'll come back at 11:40. Okay. See you.
All right. Thank you so much, Qyira.
No problem.
All right. Qyira. All right. So I'll just have a quick check-in, see whether our participants are back. Hi, Planule, are you guys back? If you're back, just feel free to give a reaction, like give a thumbs up so that we can see. Oh yeah, if you want to switch on your cameras and say hi also can. All right, awesome. Okay, everyone's back, right? No technical issues. You're good? Okay, I think they are ready to continue.
Okay, cool. So, thank you so much, everyone, for being with us so far. I know it's a Saturday morning. So again, thank you for all your patience and dedication. I hope to wrap this up by 12 o'clock so that we can have Q&A and maybe, and slightly earlier if you want to. Oh, I'm gonna, if I share, I will stop your computer sound sharing. Is that okay, Howard? Okay. All right, cool beans. Okay. Okay, I always feel very creepy when Zoom says that. All right, so the last part of my presentation today is monitoring and evaluation. I do want to start this off by saying monitoring and evaluation is it can be very complicated and in-depth, and it can also be very simple and straightforward. It really depends on what exactly you want to measure and what exactly you are required to measure. Okay, so I've had experiences with some funders where all they want me to do is like part of their M&E is to take pictures of the events. Some of my M&E requires me to report exactly how have they improved. Some of my M&E requirements have asked me to sort of like measure specific indicators in their change in behavior as well. And most commonly is because a lot of the program I do is political advocacy, right? So they want a lot of people, a lot of the organization that funds Undi 18 projects wants to see an increase in critical thinking, increase in voter education, increase in political literacy. Jadi, there are several ways that we do this, but sometimes monitoring evaluation can just be like, okay, whether people enjoy the event that you do or not, right? Sometimes you guys may do things like beach cleanups or a field trip to visit a conservation area, right? And you want to sort of measure what have the participants learned, and hopefully they won't just say things like, oh, it was good experience, oh, I had fun, oh yeah, it was nice. You don't want that kind of like feedback only, right? You want more substantial feedback. And there is a way to actually get better feedback yang lebih menyeluruh dan lebih mendalam selain daripada saya seronok pergi ke pantai, and especially with kids, if you run programs with kids, you need to ask very pointed questions to get them to share specific things that they've learned. And hopefully and of course the main purpose is not just to get people to praise you for your events, but the main purpose is to find out whether program ataupun event yang awak jalankan sebenarnya berkesan terhadap mengubah naratif atau mencabar pemahaman seseorang ataupun meningkatkan kesedaran mengenai sesuatu hal ataupun policy ataupun apa lagi lah. Okay. So there are two types of tools or methods that people often use for M&E. Okay, so M&E quantitative, so you nak measure, kalau awak nak mengukur specifically mengenai sesuatu hal ataupun sesuatu sejenis pemahaman, you want a specific number, right? You want the outcome is like 70 people have benefited from my programs. An example is what is the quantitative impact of Undi 18 with lowering the voting age and the Undi 18 bill. 7.8 million Malaysians will be empowered to vote in next general election. So that's a very good number to tell all my funders, right? Like, oh, we have impacted 7.8 million people, something like that lah, right? And then you want to look into certain projects. So for example, if I run a boot camp about voter education, so I will do pre and post surveys, right? So before the survey, I will ask them, what is your understanding of our country's politics? What is our understanding of, like, I don't know, corruption, Another very simple survey that you can do if children, right? It's like, okay, you ask them, who's our prime minister? And they don't know. After your lesson, you ask them, who's our prime minister? They'll be like, oh, it's Muhyiddin Yassin. Oh, okay, there, see, your pre and post test surveys, you have measured that this 5-year-old kid knows who is the prime minister through your workshop. So there are many ways. So many people often do post surveys, such as feedback form, such as quizzes or exams, right? But the thing is, it's very hard to measure if you are doing programs with different kinds of people, especially with different age groups. What is their level of understanding to begin with? And this also helps you understand that, for example, if at the end of the workshop, do you see a range of answers? Some people will they come out with a program, super inspired, super empowered. Some people come out with a program having like, medium understanding of the conservation issue. Then some people come out with a program being like, oh, I know conservation is important. Does that mean that your program is a fail? It may not mean that, because if you have a pre-test survey, you can weigh your survey results and compare it with where they were at before the actual workshop begin, right? So then, if someone from the pre-test showed zero understanding about conservation, but halfway after the workshop, they'll be like, oh, I know conservation is important, and these are specific areas in Malaysia that needs more attention. So they are not like expert level of conservationists, but they know they have increased understanding. So that means that your workshop has exposed to them these issues. And it doesn't mean that just because you have like a range of levels at the end of it, that you have failed your project, okay? Just because not everyone comes out like quack or something, that doesn't mean that you fail your project. That's how something like pre-post test surveys is important. And then of course things like attendance, I know, like Reef Spawn did attendance check-in just now, right? So these are something important for us to show to our funders that, okay, how consistent it is. And then we can also, so certain projects that I do, my funders will even ask me, okay, can you break it down by state? So they can see which people, participants from which states often ponting the classes or ponting the workshops. And then could it be it's because of like low bandwidth, no internet? So do we have like many participants from rural areas not joining? Or could it be because, for example, in states like Kelantan, Terengganu and Johor and maybe Kedah, I'm not sure. Like their weekends are different. So they have classes, they have work, so they cannot join the workshop that are on maybe Friday or Sunday, right? So it's a way to justify and explain the situation lah. Okay, so again, M&E is not to show whether you have whether it's not for you to tell yourself that you either succeed or fail your project, but M&E is a way for you to keep track and document the progress of your project, and you need to measure that against your initial target and initial KPI that you have set in advance. Okay, and then of course, if you are doing things like social media, then social media analytics will be a very important quantitative tool to measure to do M&E as well. Certain funders who might want to pay you to run social media campaigns. So how do you measure that people have actually benefited from the particular social media campaign? You can see how many people engage, how many people have clicked through your website, how many people have like watch your videos and things like that. So for example, if I were to run a voter registration program, of course, Undi in as myself, I cannot register people to vote because I'm not SPR. But if I put the link to register, if I put the link to SPR's website on my website and I analyze the click-through rate of that link, I can sort of report to my funder, 20,000 people have clicked the link to SPR's website. So I can assume that 20,000 people have indicated their interest to register to vote as a voter. So this is how you justify, and knowing how to measure your project is also a very important knowledge to tell and inform your funder or when you are pitching for a new project. Okay, so because then I can tell you the most important aspects of a proposal writing, right, will always be your objectives, your methods, and your M&E, because they'll want to know how you want to justify to us that you spend our money well. So it's very important when you are putting together your proposals. I'm not sure if you have to do it for this particular program, but if you don't in the future, please need to make sure that how are you going to report the success of your program to your funder lah? And you do need to think of them as not just a sponsor, but an investor in the work and in the cause. So you need to also, and why they would ask all this is not because they are picky or they are trying to make your life harder, but it's because they have a responsibility to either their shareholders or the taxpayers or whatever, and they just want to show that what they've invested on lah. So most of the funders I work with have never asked for things like receipt of every single thing, but they will normally ask for M&E. So it's always more important to have an M&E in place compared to like keeping track of all the receipts. Receipts are important for yourself, I know, accounting, but not for the bigger funder one. They normally don't ask this kind of stuff. But you need to think about like what are they looking for, right? When let's say a corporate company wants to fund a conservation project, whether it's sincere or not, it's up to them and maybe God, I don't know. But if you understand their goals, their goal is to do marketing, to ensure that the world sees them as a company that is like, sorry, like a lot of chaos going on behind my house. So if the company wants the world to see them as green, then you need to remember, okay, how do I push maybe the marketing indicators a bit higher? Maybe I should pitch a marketing campaign, while at the same time think about like the beneficiaries as well lah. As an NGO, as advocates, as social enterprise, we're always in macam kita selalu macam fikir, okay, bagaimana kita nak memuaskan hati sponsor dan juga memastikan bahawa penerima bantuan beneficiaries semua juga menerima a dignified support, right? You don't want to just go and take pictures and then be like, okay, good job, company XYZ sponsored this, So I think nowadays corporates are trying their best, but there are still many situations where they don't know what they're doing. Sorry. Yeah, there are many situations that they don't know what they're doing. So having an M&E method that's very clear and very concise helps them to be like, okay, you guys are doing good and we can also look good, in a way that they can understand. Yeah, so it's important to figure out what kind of methods and tools that is important for you to do your M&E. Another way is qualitative. So qualitative is normally not necessarily CSR work, but normally I think advocacy work lah. Okay, So if Undi they want to launch a campaign, you know, I want to first understand. So I would test. So okay, somebody is paying me to create 10 infographics about water education. So my funder is like, okay, I don't want you to just publish on social on social media, because how do I know people actually enjoy or appreciate your infographics? Because people can just like only ma, right? And you can pay for people to like ma, right? That happens also. So my funder wants me to do a focus group discussions with youth from the age of 18 to 20 years old to actually figure out whether my infographic is useful or not. So I have to conduct these focus group discussions, and I have to report what the participants think about my product and my infographic. So I have to record, I have to document it and show to my funder that, see, what you have paid us to do is actually working, and it actually works with this specific group of demographics. So that's why we do things like interviews, discussions, we do reports. So for example, let's say I'm running, Reef Spawn running this workshop with us, and I'm one of the workshop partner, right? So one of the maybe a requirement from their funder is that, okay, I need to give feedback to Reef Check on like how the program actually went, whether I thought it was useful, whether I thought the participants were relevant to the issue and things like that. So some funders do ask this kind of things, but and I always think that M&E tools, M&E is a collaborative process between you and your funder. If you are very lucky, you have a funder that is very clear. Okay, I want to measure this. But if you are not so lucky, the funder might just be like, okay, you propose to me, and then they don't like all your ideas. So this is a bit of stakeholder management as well. So but it's good to have a range of tools ready for you to consider. Okay, if you want to do survey, do you know what questions you want to ask? If you want to do site visit, where exactly do you want to compare? Where do you want to research? If you want to do photo, video documentation, do you have someone on hand that can like document and also begin charting out your progress and things like that? So these are just things to keep in mind of now. Okay, so I'm going to focus slightly more into surveys, because I think surveys are one of the most easiest and convenient way to measure to do M&E in project, whether it's big or small. Okay, so there are several ways to do pre-surveys as well, and pre-surveys are also very important because if you do it early enough, you can still have time to sort of like modify or amend your proposal according to the level understanding of your participants lah. Okay, so for example, if let's say you initially want to do this program for 18-year-olds, and then suddenly and you assume that, I assume that 18-year-olds already know issues of ABC. Then in their pre-survey, they actually, I don't understand A, I want to know about B, I have never heard of C. Then you're like, oh shit, actually that's very bad, because I have to, you cannot, if they all join in and I don't amend my workshop stuff, everybody will really suffer in this workshop because they have no understanding at all. I didn't do any briefing or introduction or pre-reading. So having this pre-survey and send it earlier will help you craft and make sure that your workshops or sessions are inclusive and comprehensive. So sometimes pre-surveys are also very useful if you are designing workshops and you may have participants participants with disabilities, you have participants from rural areas, you have participants from that cannot understand English, so if you do this in your pre-survey early on, instead of assuming, you can consider hiring a sign language interpreter, you can consider adding captions to your workshops, you can consider hiring a translator, you can consider budgeting things like data support plan for your participants, so that the workshop experience will be very smooth, and you can make sure that it's inclusive and accessible to everyone. Okay, yeah. So for Undi team, when we do very, very big workshops, we try to put in captions, or when we do things like public debates, we try to bring in a sign language interpreter as well to make it accessible, because we know that, if you don't make it inclusive, you cannot, you cannot think, you don't think about how other people with different disabilities or situations that is interested in your program, then it makes it, you end up having a program where, you have no one else to blame in a way, right? Where like you cannot say that, people don't care about my stuff. Like, have you made it inclusive? Have you made it accessible? Have you made it and I mean accessible not just by being able to turn on a video, right? I mean accessible as in like the language you use, the materials you use? Do you just talk about journal articles only? Do you only use scientific terms? Do you only use jargons? So these are the question that you can sort of like incorporate sebelum your workshop starts lah. Okay. And then post one, I think post test survey, everyone is quite familiar with what you want to measure specifically lah. What my experience of working with kids and teenagers is something that I do with number 4. It's like, can you share 2 new things you learned? So even if someone says that, oh, I had a good time in the workshop, you force them to recall and rethink what actually stuck through their minds. Sometimes you run a workshop that's like 2 days, and then if the only comment, sometimes with kids they will write stupid things like, oh, the food was amazing, or the icebreaker was great, but you're like, this doesn't help me improve my workshops at all, right? So you ask them, can you share 2 new things? So you know that if you teach 10 new things and almost 90% of people said they only learned these 2 new things, then you have a problem where 80% of your content is not relevant to them. So this is how you also understand what works and what and why does it work and why it doesn't work. Could it be that the 2 sessions have better trainers? Could it be the 2 sessions have better, rest or more activities or more interactions? Then you can, it helps you do your post-mortem planning much better as well. So asking the right questions is also very, very important to ensure that you have a good program before and after. And also, in future programs, yeah. So I have 20 minutes left. I thought I could finish at 12, but my bad. One last thing I want to introduce to you is a logic model. So a logic model is like a roadmap, and a roadmap that shows you like from A to Z, what are the steps you need to take? It's like Waze. The Waze will tell you turn left here, turn right here, go straight, stay on this highway. So a logic model helps you do that as well, where when you launch your project, you have like everything in very everything is super clear. So you boleh so kalau macam you terjatuh halfway, like, oh shit, I lost money here, I participants drop out, you can go back to your roadmap and see, okay, where can we pull in resources? Where do we need to amend? Do we need to take a different highway or a different junction to get, as long as we get to the end place, right? So that's what a logic model is. So if we have more time, I would run an exercise where we all try to fill this in. But since you're not doing a project within this program, I'm just giving you this template for you to use within your own team or even for yourself as well. I find it sometimes useful to even think about like your own, like it can apply to many things, like this kind of templates, like your own personal journey, your goal to, I don't know, be super rich, I don't know, right? What is your goal, right? It could be anything. So you start with having your goals up here. Okay, you start by putting, it could be, and your goal has to be very clear and very it's like high level but also clear, right? So my example Undi 18 would be youth presentation in politics. That is my biggest goal, right? I want to see more young people joining politics. The outcome of that would be lowering the voting age and lowering the age to become MP, right? So that is the outcome I want to achieve lah. The output for that should be maybe it's not 3 lah, right? But it could be it's but it could be like the outcome, lowering the voting age, hence the output should be amending the constitution, lobbying the politicians, engaging the media, engaging the prime minister and things like that. So what are the activities I need to do that is that I need to run media campaigns, I need to go to universities, I need to speak to parents, I need to speak to lawyers. So when you break it down this way, and if you have this from the very beginning, when you onboard new members, right, everyone will have a crystal clear picture of your goals and your activities, and then it will also help your M&E because, and this one will help both M&E and project management, because at every step of the way, you are very clear on the reason why you want to do something. In certain NGO world, we call this sometimes even finding your North Star. What is your North Star? What is your aim? What is your purpose? And while it's good to keep talking about your purpose of like, we want a greener, we want a greener world, we want to reduce climate change, we want to work in the conservation, but what exactly do you want to do to get there? Do you only want to, run social media campaigns? Do you want to speak to politicians? Do you want to work with young people? What exactly do you want to do? By having and articulating all of this in the beginning, either between you and your co-founders or between you and your team. But I always find it helpful to do it with your co-founders first, lah, right? And I'm a person that strongly believes in co-founders instead of just a founder, because having a team is not just about working together, but having someone to challenge you as well, whether you have a good idea or bad idea. So figuring this out from the beginning will help you roll out everything much more in a smoother way, in a smoother manner, lah. Yeah. So I'll send this to you guys as well. But there are many templates online of different logic models with different. Some people have a tree. Some people have like an actual road. So it depends on like how you want to draft it and craft it. But I find it breaking it down like this is the clearest way to illustrate your points, lah. So that if you are in a physical office, right, you fill this out, you print this, you put it on the wall. Every day, your team members, your interns come in and be like, yes, that is our ultimate goal, So before Undi 18, I was working in Teach for Malaysia. Teach for Malaysia, when you walk into the office, there is a big goal on the wall that says, one day, every child in Malaysia will have the opportunity to attain excellent education. And then we have our specific strategic goals to that. So how we do that? 1 is by doing this, 2 by doing this, 3 doing this, 4 doing that. So every single day, it makes a difference in terms of like how you want to build a culture and build a team. Because every day you go to work, or every time you have a team meeting, you revisit what is your goal and you revisit your logic model. You can remember why you're doing what you're doing, and you can remind yourself of your North Star, and you can think about what is if something is like lacking, if something is not working out, revisit your logic model, revisit your roadmap, and understand what is where have you fallen, or what is lacking, and what is like a gap maybe that is either at your output or your outcome or your activities that is preventing you from advancing towards your goals. Okay, so my last Slido activity from now on. So this is also one of the ways that I'm using a post-test survey question, right? I'm curious to know, among all the tools that I've shared, or even the tool that you know yourself, how are you planning to use your project management tools, right? You can share with me you can share with me whether it's a specific app to measure something. It can be to just start off by tracking your meetings, to putting proposals. I'm just curious to know, if you are working on a project or if you are working in a team, why is how are you aiming to use these tools to help you become a better project manager? Yeah. I hope to see at least 11, since there's 11 participants here. Oh, by the way, what I'm using here is Slido, right? Like, you can integrate it as a Google Slides add-on for free. So explore that for your sessions as well. I think one of the inspirations I always get from in terms of putting together good slides and stuff like that is always teachers. So check out education apps, education technology platforms and applications. They do a lot of really good stuff, especially with like the pandemic. So half of it is capitalism, lah, right? All these businesses want schools and government to pay them, but it means that they create a lot of free stuff for you to try, lah. Yeah. Okay, so some people are putting here being more organized, attention to details, being organized. Yeah, actually, I think being organized is always the toughest part of being a leader, especially when you are not an admin person. And if you are a doer and you're a mover and you're a shaker, but you're not an admin person. So admin is the worst thing to do as a project leader, because you're someone who believes in it, you can probably talk about, I'm sure all of you can talk better than all our politicians about conservation. Tapi the challenging part is always like doing the back end, doing your admin work, ensuring all these boring things are going on. So hopefully, you know, there are certain productivity tools and apps that can make it a bit more fun for you to organize. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm glad that, you know, at least you guys can the most important part of project management tools are always keeping track, and that's why we build trackers, we build like dashboards and things like that. So, you know, these are not just things that consultants use. You know, average people like us who are not consultants, who don't work in consulting firms, will also be able to use this to ensure that we can deliver our projects. And most importantly, is that you also create a very professional standard for the work that you do. And being professional, just because you're an activist or advocate doesn't mean you can't be professional. I always believe that. So, you know, and with so many free stuff available, you can absolutely do anything that you want. Yeah. So that's the end of my presentation. With 10 minutes to go. Is there any questions that I can take from anyone about anything that I've shared earlier, whether it's about team management or it's about like, you know, even the tools? You know, feel free to just ask me any question that you may have.